Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today on the Cheerleader Diaries. I'm very excited to do this video. I remember when I started this channel, I told you guys I was going to be talking about beauty, lifestyle and fashion, as well as my life experiences, which explains why today I'm talking about how I found out that my ex-boyfriend was cheating on me, or how I found out that I was a side chick, or better still, how I got my heart broken. So before I get into the whole story of how I found out that my ex-boyfriend cheated on me, I wanted to tell you guys that you know, back in school and even, you know, within my friends, I've always been the detective kind of friend. I've always been the investigative kind of friend. Like, if my friends met a guy that they wanted to date and, you know, they wanted to find out certain information about him, all they would do, they would just give me his details and I will do the digging. I was very good at connecting the dots and dotting the I's and, you know, fixing the puzzle and finding all the missing pieces. So I'm always good at digging information. I'm very critical. It was my domain, so maybe that explains why I was able to go that far to find out that my ex-boyfriend cheated on me. Some time ago, I moved to this strange country in search of greener pastures. At that point in my life, I was, you know, seeking for financial stability and independence. I wasn't looking for any sort of serious relationship. My life was just in a mess and I just wanted to fix and get everything together and have a career and start a life before looking for a man or something like that. So I met this guy. He was a very nice guy. We got talking. But before I even move into the story of this guy, at about the same time, I was talking to this other guy who was based in another country. So there were two guys. One was based in another country and one was based here. So the guy who was based in another country, you know, who I was talking to, was, I would say, an embodiment of, you know, my dream man, or he had more of the qualities of someone I wanted to settle down with. He was very good looking and he was educated. He was very God-fearing. He was responsible. He knew how to, you know, cut down my excesses. He knew how to tame me, I would say. And above all, you know, the little time I spent with him or talking to him, he was very responsible and he seemed like, you know, a leader, someone who could lead me in a house or somebody who could head a house. But one of the reasons why I probably didn't, you know, continue with this guy was because I know myself, I'm very bad with long distance relationship. I mean, I had tried a couple of that before and it was just a total disaster. So I didn't want to go through that same line. So that was the only thing, you know, stopping me from being with this guy. Apart from that, I was very unstable back then, and you know, sooner or later, from all indications, it showed that I was going to be here long term. You know, I was supposed to get a job and stay here, but I didn't know what his plans were. I didn't know if he was willing to relocate or he wanted me to relocate. So all of, you know, that uncertainty and all of that didn't probably, and the logical thing for me to do at that time was to start talking to this other guy. So this other guy that I met in the country where I lived was he was nice. He had a focused career. He had everything going well for him. He was I wouldn't know if he was responsible or not, but he seemed like somebody who was level-headed. And we got talking. We started by being friends. So I was talking to two guys at the same time, but you know, one wasn't on the, you know, relationship kind of level. It was more of a friendship kind of level until maybe probably things started getting serious, and I had to make a choice eventually. And my choice was to be with the one that was here because I needed, you know, a guy or a man that was present. I couldn't deal with the pressures of a long distance relationship and the uncertainty of if I was going to meet this other guy or not. So that's why I decided to be with this guy here. Our relationship was a very interesting one, I would say. I remember him asking me out after it was certain that I was supposed to be here long term. I got a job and I was stable, and he asked me out. He said he wanted me to be his girlfriend, and I accepted. And then 1 week after we officially started dating, he told me that he still has feelings for his ex-girlfriend and he doesn't know if he would continue seeing me. So after he told me that he was still in love with his ex-girlfriend, I found it to be very disturbing. I mean, our relationship was just 1 week old, and it was just very strange that he would come up with something like that. But I tried to be understanding, and it's true I was hurt because I already started having feelings for this guy at that time. So when he told me that, and I just told him that it's fine, you can go sort out your issues with your ex-girlfriend, I understand. And so we stopped seeing each other for some time, but from his end, nothing changed. He kept sending his usual good morning and good night text messages. From my end, I tried as much as I could to be distant. Even though we were talking, I tried for us not to talk deep because I wanted to avoid this guy as much as I could. So after that, exactly 1 month later, he walks up to me and he tells me he has made up his mind. He has sorted out whatever issues he has with his ex-girlfriend and he wants to be with me. It was rather short, but I remember asking him a couple of questions like, are you sure you want this? I hope it's not out of pity, or I hope I'm not influencing you in any way. I'm sure it's something that you really want to do. And he reassured me that no, it's not out of pity. He really wants to be with me and he wants to commit and make our relationship work. So I started seeing him officially again. So the relationship was a very good relationship. I would say it was a very healthy relationship. He was there for me. He was, we had a lot of bonding moments. We went out, to the movies, to restaurants, and we had our crazy times. We cooked together. So we did everything together. I mean, where we lived at that time, though we lived in 2 separate states, we tried as much as we could to meet every weekend when he's not traveling. I had a full-time job, he had a full-time job, but we had 2 off days, which was Fridays and Saturdays. So we saw on those days, unless he's traveling out of the country. So he was like the center of my world. I practically didn't even have time to make friends because it was all about work during weekdays, and then during weekends it was all about him. So things went on smoothly for a while until he started having funny business trips to this particular country where his ex-girlfriend lived. For some time it didn't occur to me like there was something going to be wrong, or it wasn't a business trip as he would say. I started noticing funny things after a couple of months. Each time he travels, it's not like a normal couple. You guys would keep contact all the time. If he's out for 2 weeks, I would probably speak to him 2 times within those 2 weeks only. And his excuse was, I'm out of the country, I don't want to get a new SIM card in this country, or I don't want my phone to be on roaming, I'm going to spend so much on bills, or I'm with my family, my uncle is sick. So he just kept giving me excuses why he wouldn't speak to me each time he was out of the country. And I assume during those times that's when he went to see his ex-girlfriend and they would spend time together. It went on for a while until I started really having doubts. I started feeling, my instincts told me that this relationship is too good to be true. I didn't have I couldn't lay my hands on anything. I couldn't go through his phone. He didn't have so many friends that I could hang around with. I knew just maybe 1 or 2 of his friends who were not based here. They came just once in a while. And you really need to bond with those kind of persons before you can start asking them stuff about their friends that you're dating. We never had that kind of opportunity, and I practically had no information about this guy, and it was eating me up because I didn't know how to go about it. Lucky enough for me, during that time I was working for a telecommunications company, and he used our SIM card. I had certain access to his phone details. I mean, I didn't have to physically go through his phone to see what he was, who he was talking to, but from work I could do that. I remember one day just sitting in the office and I was like, I need to get my hands on something, and though it's not the best way, and I had to do it. So I put his number in my computer. I was already preparing myself for whatever I was going to find out, because I knew it was a very difficult decision for me to want to dig into his phone line. So when I put his number, the details came out. It was his bill. So from his bill, you would see exactly who he calls, for how long they speak, and the location. That's the destination. I studied that particular file for about an hour, and I could draw conclusions that yes, it's true, I was the number that he mostly called. But apart from that, he also spoke to his family, so I didn't bother checking, numbers from the country where his family was based, because he was not from my country. And I also found out that he was speaking to this particular number, two particular numbers, which was the destination of where his ex-girlfriend lived or lives, I don't know. I saved the number in my phone, and her number pops up on WhatsApp, and her profile picture pops up, and that's how I identified that is her ex-girlfriend, and they have been speaking. From the details, it shows they speak 2 times every week. That's direct call, and they speak for a minimum of 10 minutes. So I assumed that whatever I was able to find was just based on direct calls. I didn't see messages or WhatsApp, Viber, or Skype calls. So it means definitely they are still in a relationship, and then he gets to call her once in a while during the week, but they would mostly speak on social media. At that time, I didn't want to draw conclusions. I didn't want to go crazy, because I had ideas were just flying in my head, and I said to myself, instead of me drawing conclusions, let me speak to this guy. Maybe if he owns up to me that he's still talking to his ex, then maybe there's really nothing. But if he lies about him talking to his ex, then there should be an issue somewhere. So I go home that day, heavy hearted and just confused and stressed. And he was supposed to travel the next day again to one of his business trips. So I called him, and I was just asking how his day was, the usual conversation. And I also brought up the topic that our relationship is, tilting towards a very serious direction. I hope he's into the relationship like I am into, and I've also put in so much effort and sacrifices for this relationship that he isn't or might not be aware of. I mean, I had to let a good guy go because of distance, and then I had to be with him and stuff like that. He told me no, he's in love with me, I'm being dramatic or delusional or something like that, or I'm acting crazy. He just reassured me that no, I'm his girlfriend, he loves me, and we're on the same page from my understanding of the conversation. But then I said okay, fine. And then he said when I return from the trip, we are going to talk about this. But then before he left, or before I could drop the call, I asked him, when was the last time you spoke to your ex-girlfriend? He said, we don't talk, I don't call her, we speak once in a while, like once in the blue moon, on social media, WhatsApp or whatever. And then I'm like, wow. He just told me he doesn't call her, but his phone bill proves that he calls her 2 times every week. It's a routine. And they speak for a minimum of 10 minutes. I mean, he has been seeing me for all these months, and he has been keeping contact with his ex-girlfriend, and he didn't tell me about it, which only means they have been in a relationship, and I was a side chick. So when he told me that, it was a fat lie, I said, okay, I can let this be. I told myself, when he comes back from the trip, then we are going to discuss this face to face. So the next morning I woke up, I was very stressed. I couldn't believe that he lied to me in my face, and it was just so unbelievable, because I didn't see this side of him ever. I had never seen this side of him. He had always proven to be somebody who was very straightforward, open and stuff like that. And then this one lie just made me doubt everything he had ever told me about his relationship, or even his life, or his entire existence. So I woke up that morning and I sent him a text message. He was on his way to the airport. I told him, you know what, I cannot believe you lied to me. I can't believe you can do this to me. I mean, after me opening up to you and all, but I didn't come out clear that I know you are still talking to your girlfriend. My main focus at that time was, you lied to me about you talking to your ex-girlfriend. So in return, what his response was, oh, you think I'm cheating on you, oh, blah blah blah, I'm tired, you can go to those people who you wanted to be with, or those people who were better than me, those people who were more honest. He just gave me some crap story, and I was so pissed off, and I snapped out. And that's how I sent him a picture and number and whatever details I had gathered about his ex-girlfriend, and I sent it to him. Behold, this guy, being the coward that he is, he couldn't face me, and it was obvious that it was the truth that I had found out. He blocked me on WhatsApp for 24 hours, and I was just like, wow, like I didn't see this coming. I was shocked. I mean, at that point I felt my fingers were frozen, like I wasn't living. Everything was going on at the same time. I felt hot, I felt cold. Everything had changed at that particular time. So after that, he didn't try to contact me or anything, and I thought to myself, my spirit was really disturbed. I really needed an explanation, I really wanted to know exactly what the issue was. So I sent him a message, and I was just trying to ask, what is going on? Like, what is going on? I don't get it. He said he's sorry, he had to block me and he had to lie. It's because he was uncomfortable and I had caught him, and he was embarrassed that he was still talking to his ex. He couldn't open up to me and blah blah blah. And then I'm like, why do you even speak to your ex and lie about it? If you're speaking to, I told him I speak to my ex all the time, and each time I talk to my ex, if you start lying about you talking or seeing someone, it definitely means you have something to hide. But then he wasn't very remorseful about his actions. I don't know if he knew the implications of what he did, but then he apologized. There's a way somebody apologizes that makes you understand their sincerity. His apology wasn't like, I'm sorry I spoke to my ex, I'm not going to do it again, let's move past this and let's keep the relationship moving. His apology was, yes, I'm sorry, I'm still talking to my ex and I had to lie about it, but there's nothing I can't do because probably she's the one I love, or she's the one I am seeing. That was just how I understood or how I felt, even though he didn't come out clearly or plain. So we kept going back and forth, and he just kept giving me crap stories about why he thinks the relationship is not moving, and his excuse was, sometimes I feel like I do not have space. And I was thinking, what do you mean by space? Like, what kind of space do you need? We have full-time jobs. We work 6 or 5 days a week. We have 2 off days. We see 2 times a week. That is if you're not traveling out of the country. And it's not all the time we see. And there are times he tells me, you know what, I'm having a guy time out, I'm hanging out with the guys. And I still let him go. He comes back at 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't ask him if he screwed some girl in the club, or if he was talking to a girl in the club, or if he did something in the club. My focus at that time is he's safe back at home. I do breakfast for him, he eats, and I don't even bother to find out exactly what he did with his friends because I didn't really want to know. And I'm like, what do you mean by you I don't give you space? Like, it's not as if we live in the same house or we live in the same state. We are apart most of the times. We see once or twice a week on weekends, not weekdays, if you are free, if you are in the country. So after all of that, I knew it was a lost battle. I knew there was nothing I could do. I just told myself, this is not just going to work. So to confirm that, I just asked him one question. I asked him, do you still have feelings for me? And his answer was, I'm sorry, but I'm unsure. So him telling me that just broke my heart into a million pieces, and that is when I knew that the relationship had officially come to an end, and sooner or later I just had to accept it. So he came back from his trip. I can't remember if he told me or I found out, because I knew the day he was supposed to return, and I really wanted us to sit face to face and sort this issue out, because I needed that closure. I still felt like the explanation he gave me wasn't enough for his actions, and he never gave me a chance to meet him. He just said, whatever we have, we can sort it on phone. I mean, he was that much of a coward and an asshole. He didn't face me, and until date he hasn't given me a proper apology, and we haven't met. The conclusion in all of this is, it doesn't matter how much you think you know someone. If someone wants to be with you for games and for the meantime, it doesn't matter how much of a wife material you are, it doesn't matter how much effort you put in the relationship, how nice you are, or how hard you try to make things work. If they are not on the same page with you, or if they are not willing to commit, they would never commit. And for a minute I thought the issue was me, but looking at things today, I know definitely the issue wasn't me. The issue was him. He wasn't willing to commit. He wasn't ready for a serious relationship, or he had not just gotten over his ex and he needed someone to just warm his bed while his ex was away. It hurt me big time. It left a very big bruise in my heart, but thank God I'm over it. And it's just a way of saying sometimes people would not apologize for their actions. And by the way, I see he's doing very well today. I don't think he thought he ever did something wrong. Like, for him, he didn't do anything. It doesn't matter the situation, and people will not always apologize if they hurt you. I mean, they would hardly apologize. Sometimes you have to accept the apologies that you never received and just move on from it, because it would help you in your healing process. It's okay to feel bad. It's okay to cry. I mean, I was depressed for months. I couldn't leave my bed. I didn't want to speak to anybody. Life wasn't fun. I didn't even do well at my job, and it was just so difficult to move on. But at the end of the day, it's okay to feel all of that, but with time you would move on. As they always say, time heals every wound. So I'm not dead today. I'm living, smiling, and I definitely know what I want in a man now, and I know what some of the red lights I have to watch out for if I meet someone. The red lights that I didn't watch out for was, from the beginning he told me he still had things with his ex and blah blah blah. If a guy or a girl tells you that from the beginning, I mean, just walk off. Don't try to be her, I don't know how they call it, like substitute or whatever. If somebody tells you from the beginning that they still have feelings for their ex and they don't know if they have moved on, if you trust yourself and you respect yourself enough, you respect your feelings, back off. The other red light was the fact that he traveled a lot and he didn't want us to talk during his trips. He would give me crap excuses, and also the fact that he didn't want to come out straight about a relationship to his friends or family. So if a guy doesn't show you to the world, whether on social media, if he doesn't show you to his family, if he doesn't show you to his friends, if he travels a lot and he gets to pick your call at some particular times of the day and ignores your call at certain hours, gives you crap story about their ex and whatever. If you have all of these signs, then it's possible that they might be cheating on you, or they might not be taking the relationship as serious as you are. But hey, I'm not here to sabotage every guy or every girl out there, because I mean, girls do the same thing that a guy he just did. Love is a very beautiful thing. It's one of the most amazing feelings I've ever experienced in my life, and it hasn't stopped me from loving. I mean, my heart was hurt, but I got healed, and I think I can still love again. And before you date someone, try to find out as much as you can about them. It's very important, especially their last relationship. You want to know what happened, why they broke up, and why they are single, especially if they are someone who has everything going on well for them career wise, and then they shouldn't be single as good as they may look. So that's it. That's the story of how I got my heart broken. I wanted to thank my hairdresser personally for my amazing hair. I'm going to share her links below. She's based here in the UAE, but she does customized wigs to every location that you want, and she also does home service. So she's a freelance hairdresser. I will share her links below. She has affordable rates. Her name is Winnie. Thank you so much for the hair. You're the reason I'm looking like $1 million, like a bag of money. That was it for today. Feel free to share your experience down in the comment box below. I want to get your own experience about a bad relationship or a bad breakup. At the same time, share this video, like it, and subscribe, because my next video would be on possible signs that your boyfriend is cheating on you and how to move past that. Thank you for watching, and like I always say, don't forget to leave a little sparkle everywhere you go. And it's the Cheerleader Diaries. Stay tuned for more videos. Ciao.